Hello, welcome to the pod.
Welcome to That Is Just
Ridiculous.
with him over there, Paul
me
Fryer.
and him.
Me, Guy Kennaway
me.
of Pilton.
Paul Fryer, me of Leeds.
And we got, actually, fun enough, the podcat is between the two of us.
The podcat is
asleep next to, snuggled up against Paul's thigh.
here. Guy wants to kill him.
Paul, you shouldn't have mentioned that. That was a light-hearted remark.
You said you wanted to lock him in the cupboard and starve him to death as a retaliation for all the birds he killed.
Right, that's it.
And
I looked out the window and I saw no birds, and also there was such a pretty dead thrush.
and no birds sing.
Right. Silence of the birds. And a great big fat sleek cat, and I'm fed up with it. So I was going to just lock him in for a bit. And
Are you listening to this murdering bastard?
yeah, well, it's one or the other. But actually, I mean, he's meant to be catching the rats, and I haven't seen a rat recently.
But what about your mum? Didn't she have her cat declawed?
Yeah, it's a kitten, to be fair.
Yeah, but that is a really...
Well, I think with an old lady with very, very delicate skin, I think it's otherwise it was impossible. The cat was just going to just tear my mother's arm to, skin to pieces.
But is it really fair to declaw a cat?
Well, I would neuter you if the law allowed it.
That's not my claw.
Right. It's what you get into, it's what you stick into people.
That is so horrible. It's such a horrible, horrible thing to say. And vile and revolting, Guy.
Well, I'd like to
What is wrong with
that
you?
remark.
Oh, God. Oh.
Anyway, let's moving on.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're the one that needs sorting out, not me.
So, we've just watched this rather interesting TV documentary that Paul's been talking about for some time. It does raise a lot of issues. I don't normally go in for kind of reviewing TV.
It's not really a review because it's old. It's on YouTube. It's called Motorway Madness.
It's called Motorway Madness, and it's about... Paul, why don't you explain, because you know better than me.
Well, there's these two women, and their origins are murky, but they're sort of broadly they're from Sweden.
They're 40 years old.
One of them comes from America.
They're twins.
They're twins. They're both blonde. They're quite athletic.
Statuesque.
They meet in Ireland. They get a ferry over to Liverpool. They get on a National Express coach. They go halfway down the M6. They get thrown off the coach and then set off walking after being interviewed by the police.
Down the M6?
Down the middle of the M6 in the Central Reservation. And then one of them runs into the traffic.
Yeah, and in fact, the film opens with the CCTV footage of them talking on the Central Reservation, and then one of them, followed by the other, walking out into traffic going at full speed.
Yeah.
And being hit.
One of them gets hit by a car.
Shocking footage to watch.
And then the police arrive and arrest them on the hard shoulder.
Well, first of all, they just look after them. They think that there's been a genuine accident.
Yeah.
They're not into arresting them.
And then they're sort of chatting to them. They're not really restraining them as such.
And the police haven't seen the footage that we've seen, which is of them deliberately walking out. So we know something is very odd is going on.
Then one of the women shrugs off the police officer by kind of slipping out of her jacket.
Yeah, the police officer, another woman, has got hold of her arm, and she slips out of her jacket so she gets free and runs back across the carriageway where traffic is going
straight
at full
into
speed,
the path of an articulated lorry,
which runs her over. You don't
Completely
actually
runs
see
her
that
over.
on camera, but you're described it, and you get a short interview with the driver who has definitely run someone over.
Well, also you see the blood and everything on the road, and you can see that the police officer's saying she's got compound fractures in both legs.
And she's still struggling.
And she's still trying to sit up. She's conscious and trying to sit up. And then the other sister runs into the traffic and gets hit by a Ford Fiesta or something.
And thrown in the air.
That
is on camera.
And smashed.
It is so shocking. And
Police
we're thinking,
custody.
what's going on? To me, it reminded me most of Daryl Hannah as a replicant in Blade Runner. He had that look. Or even Ian Holm in Alien, when he starts going bonkers.
Or Terminator.
I've not actually seen Terminator except in a trailer.
Just the relentlessness of them.
They're just like fixed on this crazy course of action.
Whatever it is.
We can't
which is
really tell
unclear.
what it is.
And then one of them is saying, they're going to steal your organs. The one that gets run over.
It's saying, oh, I want the police, and they're saying we are
the police. And then the one that's in hit second, she's completely unconscious. She's literally smashed the car windscreen, and there's a huge dent in the roof. And then she just gets up and decks the policewoman.
Yeah.
And runs across the other reservation again.
Yeah,
and by this time, the police are really losing it.
Well, and here then it arises another really intriguing element, which is it just so happened that those policemen were being filmed for a documentary. Was it called Motorway Policeman or something?
No, that was the impression I got.
One of those, it was being filmed for a highway patrol.
Because the footage is brilliant.
Yeah, for another film altogether, which is about their lives, catching speeding, looking after a stray dog or whatever on the motorway, But they walked into
beating up hippies.
They drove into this hugely powerful story. A bit like, do you remember the guy who was making the film? What was he making a film about in Manhattan? Who happened to film in the background the plane going into the Twin Towers? Do you remember? He had the only live footage of the first one.
Oh, did he?
The only live footage. I guess there must have been some.
Or indeed Zapruder.
Who's he?
Who took the footage of Kennedy being assassinated.
Right, exactly. They happen to have a camera out. And you start, and with this one, because it's so odd, their behaviour, I started thinking, is it a coincidence?
How the fuck did they manage to be there when that's going on?
Yeah, it's almost like those women were going towards the camera. In fact, I've dismissed that now because I didn't think that. But Paul said that people on the internet saying they're like programmed, a bit like Daryl Hannah in Blade Runner.
MK Ultra type assassins, and when they
were told to go to London on the coach and do something, but
because they had multiple mobile phones in their bag.
Yeah, they never explained that properly.
They never explained that.
It's very annoying. They said we found there were no drugs on their person or in their bags, but we did find multiple.
They did have multiple mobile phones by their person.
Yeah.
So why the fuck did they?
And a computer.
Yeah, which wasn't mentioned. It was only mentioned by the other guy.
Yeah.
Police never mentioned the computer.
Yeah, you would have thought, let's flick the top open, lads, and have a quick look. And see what these two are up to.
Although it's demented. But then this isn't it. Then what happens then is that after 3 days she's discharged by the police. She gets picked up by a couple of dudes in the street who take her back for a beer. Whether or not there was anything going on there, it didn't seem to be that.
No, it didn't.
Didn't actually in the final analysis.
It didn't hint.
No, it didn't really. One of the guys gets freaks out and leaves. She stays overnight, and then she takes a knife and stabs the other one to death. Then she runs away, and someone sees her running down the street with a lump hammer.
Very good.
Hitting herself repeatedly in the head with a hammer. He intervenes, takes that...
Hold on, we've got to hold it. Wheel up. That's a really powerful bit of testimony.
What the fuck was that all about?
She's walking down the street, a statuesque blonde woman, aged 40, with a large rubber lump hammer.
No, not a rubber lump hammer.
Was it not?
It was a proper hammer.
Was it proper, was it? I don't know what a lump hammer is. I thought
it's like
it was
a steel hammer.
Oh, right. I actually thought it was rubber. Anyway, big hammer, hand mallet, smashing her head with it. Now, Paul...
Who does that? Covered in blood.
Who does that? Then, here's the strange thing. He then tried to stop her, and she smashes him in the back of the head with a roofing tile she's got in her pocket. So she assaults him.
Yeah, and then she runs off, goes onto a bridge which is 40 feet above a dual carriageway,
A40,
and jumps off the bridge into the oncoming traffic, 40 feet. Breaks both her ankles and her skull.
And her skull, yeah.
And survives.
Yeah, that's where it gets a bit like kind of Rutger Hauer or Daryl Hannah. She cannot be
made dead.
She cannot be made dead. And then, extraordinarily, a court case follows because the guy's...
Well, it's not fucking funny.
I know the guy's being knifed to death, and she gets off murder.
Yeah.
It's not really that she cooked up her own defence because
she didn't say anything.
She refused to answer any questions, and so the judge had to accept or came to the conclusion that she was in some way mad. And so she only got done for manslaughter, and she's out. I think she's out now.
Well, that would have been made in 2011, that programme, and it's now...
No, she's out 2014 or 15, wasn't she?
Oh, yeah, well, that's if she served the full 5 years, which she won't have done.
But what was shocking was seeing violence of that nature, which is not cooked up by actors and special effects men.
Yeah.
Because normally you see that violence, and even when it's very compelling, there's something inside you that knows it's actors and special effects. Whereas this one, it was so shocking. And also, of course, the reaction of the policemen who were right next to it as they were running into this traffic was very compelling because they weren't actors.
No, they were horrified.
They weren't actors.
They were losing
and they weren't.
They barely had a grip on it.
It was for any actor to look at that bit of footage to see how you really genuinely react to something horrifying. It was very restrained. Yeah. None of them shouted. None of them put their hands on their mouth, which is what all actors do.
Yeah.
None of them put their hands on their head, which is what all actors tend to do in that situation.
Yeah.
They withdrew into themselves, really, didn't they?
Yes.
It was all in the eyes. Like a great acting. Well, it wasn't acting, it was real.
Yeah.
And you go, fucking hell, what is going on?
No, I mean, they did look.
Going on?
The coppers looked like they were about to just take their uniforms off and leave the scene.
Walk away
because it was like it was too much.
They were rescuing these women, and every time they turned their back, they got up and ran into this traffic.
Yeah.
Endangering,
and one of them punched the other one in the face.
lives of many people because their car's doing 80 miles an hour down there.
That was insane.
You know, imagine driving down the motorway and a woman just walks out in front of you.
I just thought.
What is ridiculous about it? Well, it actually is.
It's fucking ridiculous, mate. It doesn't get much more ridiculous.
What's it called?
Than
Just so that people know.
It's called Madness on the Motorway.
Terrible title.
I know it's terrible. If you Google that, you'll see it.
It's not very well directed.
It's not a very nice thing.
They didn't quite realise what they had, and nor did they go and interview the woman's husband, which I think, or something before the whole event.
It's a terrible journalism job. They didn't go into the background at all.
Yeah,
and there's obviously a lot going on there.
Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
What I was going to say was this: after I watched it for the first time, which is a while ago now, I went online and tried to find out what had happened to them or if anything was known. And they've basically disappeared. So, a couple of people have tried to find them and people can't find them. One's said to have gone to Sweden and the other one, they've said they don't. And somebody else rang up, tried to find out information about the court case and stuff and couldn't even find out or which prison they'd been to.
They said which prison she was in the
Did
piece.
they?
Yeah, they did actually. Yeah.
Well, I think somebody checked it anyway. Anyway, there's a lot of very strange things online about it too.
Do you feel enemy action?
I just feel it's really confusing. I mean, a few years ago I might have insisted, but I mean, the first time I saw it, I thought, oh my God, that's just such a classic, it's such a classic example of that kind of thing that, where everybody anybody who's done any research into mind control and MK Ultra would immediately think it must be something like that.
What does MK Ultra mean?
MK Ultra, it was the American government program which ran for many, many years, which was all about mind control and creating super soldiers. And
does MK stand for mind control, but they don't know how to spell control?
I'm not sure what it stands for. But it was a government program, CIA program, and some terrible, terrible things happened. There was a guy called Cameron who was working. A lot of it didn't happen in America because they were able to circumvent the laws by doing it elsewhere. So, for instance, one of the big it was a hospital, but they used it as a research centre. Was in Canada under the auspices of a guy called Cameron, and he was a doctor. And they used to put people to sleep for months, brainwash them, give them LSD, use ECT.
Sounds like your lifestyle.
It was basically, a bit like that. Not involuntary though. And it's a scary story, MK Ultra. And lots of people think that Sirhan, who shot Bobby Kennedy, was the MK Ultra patsy, and so was the guy that's how they were experimenting to push the boundaries of what they could do. And also that there's that quite interesting program in which
David Copperfield,
he's great, isn't he? We used to make buildings disappear. He didn't fuck around, did he? He didn't fuck around with brainwashing people. He made a jumbo jet disappear. Do you know how he did it?
Just a stupid camera.
Do you actually know how he did
put
that?
a postcard in front of it.
Do you know how he did it?
How?
Mirrors.
Mirrors, exactly. It's pathetic.
They fucking do it with mirrors, right?
It's pathetic.
But what's the guy's name? I've been to see him as well live. Anyway, he brainwashed a guy into shooting Stephen Fry. Darren Brown brainwashed a guy into shooting Stephen Fry on stage, using the same triggers that people said that we used to kill, that Sirhan used to kill Bobby Kennedy. Anyway, there's a whole load of you call them conspiracy theories. Some of them are nutters, but other people are quite serious, and they've gone through all the freedom of information stuff. And there is no doubt that MK Ultra was a massive covert operation, and it may still be going on. It's black money. So
you would have thought now, actually, on a serious note, that all of that money, all that money would just go into robotics now. Because I'm sure they'd say, look, rather than trying to get humans to do this, why don't we just tell a computer to do it?
Or a drone.
Or a drone, exactly, that's what I mean by
just get a little drone.
Robotics.
Yeah, I mean, why do you need that? You just get a drone to target someone, don't you?
Yeah.
And it just has a little...
I was watching the Star Wars film, Was I watching it?
Really?
I can't remember. Yeah, the one where they have the robot soldiers. I thought of you actually.
Attack of the Clones.
Is that what it's
I've
called?
never seen it.
No, and it did look. I mean, George Lucas, he's thought it through, and this sort of huge kind of warehouse arrives on the battlefield, and the doors fly open, and out.
Oh, that's iRobot, isn't it?
No. It's a Star Wars. It's one of the Star Wars one. It's Jar Jar Binks. When the nice people have
really
a horrible
terrible.
time. Yeah, and
Jar Jar Binks. My favourite character in Star Wars by a
Is he?
country mile.
Yeah, I like it. Kind of the only openly gay one, or maybe.
He's Jamaican guy. He's not gay.
Oh, but he's also limp. Well, limp. He's a bit gay and feminine, isn't he?
I think that's
He's doing that all the time, isn't he? Unless, of course, Chewbacca's gay, but more of the what I call bear.
Look, a bear. Maybe they're all gay. Princess Leia, hello.
Right.
She's a tough cookie.
They can be soft and gay.
Yes, guy, yes.
We're just staggering from one stereotype to another, trying to get
No,
out of this
look at us,
minefield.
trying to get out of this minefield we're in. We've wandered
in the middle of
into.
it. There is nowhere, there is nowhere to go.
We'd just like to apologise to the gay community unreservedly for our horrible heterosexual assumptions.
Anyway,
I feel thoroughly ashamed of
let's
myself.
away from that land.
Yeah, we just go the other way.
These two women in that, I think the fact that they did look so sort of Amazonian and statuesque.
Very Slavic looking as well.
Yeah, and they looked like they had been
super
trained.
soldiers.
When you saw her take on this copper, she kind of did a feint and then whacked her with her right hand.
Then when she jumped over, the other copper came. She immediately took off her jacket and started hopping around him. Did you see how she was always looking for the advantage?
She looked to me like she was a trained fighter.
She looked like she knew what she was doing. Didn't she?
Yeah, to me. I mean, I wouldn't, I'd never take on a copper under any
I mean, what do most people
circumstances.
do when they're in a fight situation?
Run straight at the person.
Yeah, or you hunker down and think, right, and get
Well,
ready
I would
for-
run straight.
But she wasn't. She was hopping around him looking for her. You
And
know.
there must have been, because some of the guys in the cars passing by stopped to help, and they were like some gun beefy. This was set in Stoke-on-Trent, how the men are there, proper men, and they came.
Some
and
big old gristle.
Yeah,
lumps,
there must
weren't
have
there?
been about 8 of them on her, just trying to stop her, just trying to stop her running away into the traffic.
They were working hard as well. You
Yeah,
could
they
see
were,
that.
and that made me think there is something weird going on here because she's too fit for 40.
Yeah,
Swedish.
alarmingly fit.
She's too strong.
Really muscly. Did you
Really
notice
strong.
that? Not
Well,
skinny.
unless it was like the drugs doing it.
Athletic.
I love the way they immediately thought she was on drugs, being British police
fuck
from
me.
the north.
We've got a druggie.
Substance is a substance issue.
Looks
And
like
I
we've
said
got
to
a
Paul-
druggie, Sarge.
I said to Paul, "What drug's
What
that?
fucking drug does that to you?
Well, you take on 8 policemen. You know.
And you get hit by a car travelling at 60 miles an hour
And get up.
and
Yeah, then
start
go back
checking
into the
coppers.
traffic. Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
That was no drug
They'd all be
either.
on that in Newcastle, wouldn't they?
God, I hope that drug doesn't get into the general population.
Christ.
That create havoc.
Yeah. Anyway, so you can actually... do you ever watch things on YouTube, Guy, at increased speed?
Never. I can't do that.
I find myself increasingly doing it.
Oh, God, like your life ball, don't.
I watch things at
You've got to just-
1.5 because they're just too fucking slow. And I'm
Right.
sitting there drumming my fingers. And I think, what the fuck?
I think the fault may lie in you.
So, if you can always watch it at 1.5 or 1.25.
I can read at 1.5.
Yeah.
I can read at 2. I can read at 6.
Can you?
Yeah, I can read at 10 if necessary.
Guy, can you really?
Well, no, I guess I'm flipping a lot of pages.
Oh, yeah, I
I'm
do that,
just
yeah.
dipping in and just finding out.
Speed reading?
Yeah, well, not really speed reading, just like
Slash
not
and burn.
reading it.
Not
what am I
really reading
doing?
it.
I'm just like, I'm like that with this Richard Powers book. It's just like, get on with it, man.
Yeah.
Get on with it. I want to stand behind him as he's writing. Go,
Is that still going on?
Stop
then?
it.
Is that book still going on then?
Yeah, stop it. We know exactly what she looks like.
Oh, for
we know
fuck's
what
sake.
Roosevelt did. Stop it. I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I feel very patronised by the over description of
Don't
particularly.
start going on about him again.
Sorry, I could be right. Yeah, stop it.
God, you've got a bee in your bonnet about
Yeah,
him.
it's only because I'm stuck in a book that you can't get out of.
He's doing rather
As
well.
Michael Hutchins.
He's doing rather well, though, isn't he?
He's a great success.
Gary.
Yeah, I'm not jealous. I take
Have
my
you
hat
got a little
off.
bit of sour grapes there?
No, to any writer who's good and sells copies, I have nothing but complete respect.
Right.
You never hear me dissing them.
Better hope I never write a book, guys.
You have written a book, Paul.
Me and Guy.
No, it's called It's the book of poems.
Do you want another poem for my book?
And I would like to, because I think the listeners should know once again what the title is. Can it be bought on Amazon?
Don't be so, ...
Don't be so, ... Oh, absolutely breathtaking title.
What?
Don't be so.
What's wrong with that?
There's not, well, it's a very good title. There's not a very good title.
Guy, don't say that.
I tell you what's wrong with it. Shall I tell you what's wrong with it?
What, it's negative?
It's not really negative, don't be so.
What is it then?
It's got no punch. It's too soft. It's like you can't tell where it starts and stops when it's got ... which in a title I would have thought was a little bit of a high-stakes operation. Well, name me another title with a ... after it.
What, like?
Can't think of many myself. I think a title.
Well, that's why
we're looking for something sharp.
It's unique, Guy.
So is a pair of trousers with 3 legs. You know, it's just like, it doesn't mean it's any good. You know.
Well, I guess not.
No, I'm not talking about your pants. I'm talking about a pair of trousers with three-legged trouser.
No, it's too late. You've said it now. I know it's...
Is it a 3-legged trouser of a book?
Well, I don't know. It's got some good bits in it.
Yeah. I noticed that when we read them out, the listeners didn't write in asking for more.
That doesn't mean they didn't enjoy it.
Of course not.
There's a lot of data in one of these. You know, they could have. You know.
Yeah, there could have been.
It could have been overshadowed by other things. I mean, they're gentle and subtle, guys. It's poetry. It's not fucking.
I went up the Tor today.
Did you?
Beautiful day.
What Tor?
The Tor in Glastonbury. And the reason I mention it.
Describe the Tor.
Tor has a hill.
It's a conical hill.
Yeah, conical hill. It looks man-made, but actually it's natural. Upon which is a tower, like it can look. It has so many different aspects depending on which direction you look at it from. It's got a slight kind of feeling of something sort of like a dolphin head or something, hasn't it? It's got a lovely kind of curve to it.
A dolphin head?
Don't you feel that? Well, it depends what you're looking at. From the south, it does. From the north, it looks like a medieval, kind of a protected hill mount. Yeah.
Like a hill fort?
Hill fort, yeah. And then on the top of it is this tower, probably about 30 metres high. 30 metres high with door.
Would you say it's a bit phallic?
You know, that's the obvious thing, but I don't find it particularly phallic because it's on the top of the hill. And a phallic thing, I want it to be more in the loin, to stick out of a loin.
I don't like that gesture, guys.
It's like having a candle on your knee or on your shoulder. It's not really like the other day I said it's like the spindle on an old record player, and I'm in the tracks of the LP going round,
like rotating round,
going round
every day
because you see it, you know,
like a rat in a maze.
No, not a rat in a maze.
Like a rat in a maze.
Yeah, I'm like a lion in the jungle.
It's true. That's what you are, like a rat in a maze. And do you know what happens then, guys?
Salmon.
Just like that rat, you go up to that big red button and you bump your nose against it, and
what comes out? Paul Fryer.
Yeah, and then little drips of like morphinated water come out, and you sup on them.
I am not. I am a lion pacing his territory.
You said you were like scuttling around in tracks. What lion scuttles around in tracks, guys?
Yeah, the needle. I'm the stylus.
Put the needle on the record. And the drum beats go like this.
Right. Paul's bought a record player this week, but he hasn't got a record.
I've got a record.
Oh yeah, okay.
We've done this anyway.
Yeah, I think I remember this. I'm going to buy you a record. I'm going to send you a record, actually. Yeah.
What are you going to send me?
I'm going to send you James Taylor. It's a proper record.
Fire. I know his songs.
I know. Yeah, actually,
Fire and Rain.
Yeah.
I can play it on the guitar.
And I've seen Rain. I've seen Lonely Nights.
I've seen Lonely Days that I thought would never end. I've seen Lonely Times. No, I've seen Sunny Days that I thought would never end. I've seen Lonely Times when I could not find a friend, but I always thought that I'd see you again.
Right. Was. And shift work with her.
Look down upon me, Jesus. You've got to help me make a stand. You just got to see me through another day.
Yeah,
my body's aching and my time is at hand. Just can't make it any other way.
You see, and someone was playing me some young person was playing some music the other night, and I thought that's pretty good music, you know. And then I thought
they were actually playing and singing.
No, they were put it on the computer.
Oh yeah,
I can't remember if it was Jeff or someone.
Yeah.
And I thought actually we only had James Taylor, Bob Dylan, very few other people in the kind of sitting down.
Roy Harper.
Yeah, right on the edge of that. Yeah, he wasn't so. We had a very, very small selection to make.
Billy
from.
Bragg.
And we were taught. Billy Bragg's way later. Billy Bragg.
I know. I just said that to annoy you.
Yeah. Anyway, Paul. But here's my point: was that, and we felt Carole King, and we felt
Carole King.
Carole King. Yeah, she was kind of lyrical ballads.
Yeah.
And we felt
Neil Sedaka wrote "I Owe Carol" for her.
I know he did. But
he was a horrible artist.
He's an odd-looking fellow. But anyway, here's
Carol.
Oh,
horrible voice.
Just listen. We felt that they were more talented than the lot now because they sold 10 million, 20 million copies of their albums.
Yeah.
But in fact, there was a much, much narrower selection. There were only. I remember, Paul, when I had my record player, we all had about 20 albums, 30 albums. There were no others to get.
When I was a recording artist, I sold 43,000 albums with my debut record.
Paul, you're just not listening to me at all.
You'd be in the charts now if you did that.
Oh, right, okay.
I'm backing your point up.
Right. By the way, I'm impressed by 43,000. Are they out there somewhere?
Yeah.
If anyone has got, what was the song
Just
called?
shut the fuck up.
What was the song called?
No, Guy.
Please.
Guy, stop
Will
it.
you mail it to me?
Guy,
I beg
stop
you.
it. No. I played it to you the other week when you were drunk and you went, actually, this is quite good.
Right. Let's try it sober.
Yeah, all right, try it sober, like you do with most music, you mean. First thing you do when you get drunk is put a record on and start jumping around, telling me how amazing it is. I'm a great believer in record players because
Can I finish my
music
point?
sounds shit now. MP3 sounds shit.
Music sounds better with you.
Guy, music sounds shit. And also Sonos and these fucking portable speakers I've got a lot to answer for.
Right.
You can never fucking hook up to them. What's wrong with an amplifier in the corner and two speakers?
Nothing at all. Someone nicked mine.
Well,
I don't know how they
nicked
went.
it?
I don't know. They were in the kitchen. We used to dance them. They're big speakers.
Yeah, what happened to it?
I don't know. It just went.
Is it in that cupboard under the stairs?
No, I don't know where it went.
Did you give it away when you were drunk?
Could have. Yeah, that's what I think I gave it away.
That's what you did, didn't it? Because you thought, I'm going to
I've
be
got the
modern
blue
now.
thing. I've got the blue thing.
Yeah, I know, and it's all right, but
It's
when
not
you
loud
hear a
enough.
proper
It's
pair
not-
of
it's not
speakers,
loud
Guy,
enough. Yeah, okay.
you think, fuck me, this is
When
like...
I come around to your house, you're going to hear that.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Anyway,
Oh,
Paul,
boy, you're going to hear it. And
Paul,
Guy,
what I
you know
realise is that James
You're
Taylor,
going to want a record
although
player.
he sold 60 million copies of whatever, 2 million, however many million copies of that album, and we all thought he was a genius.
Where are they all now?
Well, no, we listen to him, we love him, but the fact is...
But where are all the records?
No, just listen, is that there turns out that there were loads of James Taylors.
Right.
People as talented as him. He wasn't really that much more talented than the kids now, is he?
No.
Do you think he's Carole King? Was she?
Carole King was a really prolific songwriter.
And you think she is more talented than the
I
ones
think she was
now?
very talented.
So now she would bubble to the top, would she?
I would imagine she would, yeah.
Right.
When you think about KT, Tongue Turns...
Turnstile.
Yeah, and that other one, what's she called?
Madonna.
Katie Mellower.
Yeah.
And that other one who went...
And you don't know where you're going, where you're going to go, where you're
ballads.
going to sleep tonight.
It's all a bit crap.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it? That's
I
what
mean,
I
Carole
wonder.
King, it's like big fucking tunes. You walked into the party like you were walking onto a yacht.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's not her, is it?
No.
That's
No,
Carly Simon.
Carly Simon.
Carole King, Tapestry.
Yeah, lovely.
You've Got a Friend. Come on, what a
Yeah.
fucking great song.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not saying
So in
there's-
fact, somehow they managed to... The only ones that got through were the really good ones. That's what I'm
well, I
saying.
wouldn't say that because
So basically, people at the record companies were
Loads of
sifting.
loads
for
of
us.
people haven't
They
heard
were
of Rocky
panning.
Eric-
The people at the record company were panning.
loads of people haven't heard of Rocky Erickson and the 13th Floor Elevators, and they were amazing.
No. I haven't, to be honest.
You haven't?
No.
You'd hate them
Yeah.
because you've got like mainstream pair of ears on you.
Very much so. Middle of the road.
MOR guy.
M-O, yeah. Dad
Or
rock.
are you AOR?
Dad rock. And my God, I spent half my life hiding it. And I
was gonna say
don't
you're
care.
AOR, aren't you? You're more AOR than
Adult
MOR.
orientated rock.
Adult orientated rock.
They can't use that again now.
AOR.
Do they still use that?
No, they don't use that
No, I
anymore.
wouldn't have thought so, no. FM radio.
Yeah.
That's what they're called.
You love a bit of FM, don't
Yeah,
you?
some Eagles.
Well, you know.
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
Um,
Correctly named, in my view.
right. I balk at the travelling Wilburys, but my sister loves
The
them.
travelling Wilburys.
I tell you what, Bob
Where were they travelling
I
to?
tell you something is that I know one thing for certain, Paul. Well, I know one thing for certain is that Bob Dylan came up with that title because
Travelling.
The others
What is a
didn't dare.
Wilbury?
The others didn't dare say.
Yeah.
That's like a shit
I know
name.
what to call it. It's going to be called the Traveling Wilburys.
And none of them.
What's that, Bob?
None of them dared
fuck?
to because it was Bob. And he thought afterwards.
The
that-
Traveling Wilburys.
Because if Tom Petty had said,
where are we travelling to, and who are the Wilburys? you know, you just got to look into American history, man.
Yeah, it must have been him because the others would have. If any of the others had come up with it, they
Maybe
would
it
have
was
said-
Roy. Might have been the Big O. He was.
Roy Orbison. No, I think he was silent. I always see him
I think he
silent.
was just
at the
silent
meetings
about
and
everything.
And then they just give him the
He
tune.
never said a word.
Yeah, never.
What was it like working with Roy? Don't know.
No.
He walked in with those big fucking glasses on, and you could see nothing,
Yeah,
and you heard nothing except.
And he sported a wig nearly all his life. I never knew
didn't he?
that.
Yeah. He looked like he looked like his head was held on with a spring. Actually,
It was in fact trying to be a Polar Next website.
maybe he was a replicant.
And like Andy Warhol, I'm amazed there are no photographs of Andy Warhol without a wig. I want to see that photo actually. What do you think about artists who turn to pop stars?
Does that happen a lot?
It does. Angus Fairhurst had a band,
They were called Low Expectations,
and
but they just used to have a loop of it.
Sam Taylor Wood's been in a band. She tried. She was a singer for a bit with Neil Tennant, and I'm sure there's another one. Oh, I tell you. Oh no, Johnny Depp. He's an actor turned singer. I think you should leave the singing alone, personally. It's tough.
It's a hard gig.
It's a very tough gig, and somehow we've made the music business like that, have we? I don't know.
It's always been a bit like that.
I dreamed you paid your dues in Canada, and left me
What's that?
to come through. What a couplet! What does that mean?
I don't even know what that means.
Don't you? I don't know what it means either, but it's a good couplet. I dreamed you paid your dues in
I don't know what it
Canada.
means either, but it's a good couplet.
Yeah.
If I said that about any other writing, you'd be furious.
It's true, I would actually.
It's fucking apoplectic.
I dreamed as well on top of it.